मगर इस देश रहना चाहिए, इस देश का लोकतंत्र में रहना चाहिए।
You can do one Mumbai, you may lose Balochistan.
210. S139
And
mortar.
this man is a horrible man. He must be shunned.
To count. Our job is to hit the target, not to count the body bags.
Welcome all. Welcome back to the show. Hello, sir. Hello, Carl. How are you doing?
Thank you for having us. Hello.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great
And
to be back and get together to talk things which are of importance. Yeah.
yeah. So, audience, today I think we are going to talk about some strategic trade deals. The era of tariffs and trade negotiations is upon us. So, this means that everybody is kind of readjusting and reallocating their resources in all the places where it matters, right? So, if we look at it from my perspective, there's been some great ones that's happened in the recent years. Starting from the India EU free trade agreement, and then there is some tariff negotiation frameworks which have happened between the India and the United States, and also there's been a comprehensive free trade deal with the UK. So there are many nations who are looking for bigger market access with India, and the United States is also one of them. So we can begin with this context, and why I think that 2026 is different. Like this is the year where everybody has realized that because of conflict, because of things happening all over the world, there are so many barriers. It's no longer the globalist era of the 2000s and so on, where before the 2008 2009 financial crisis, that we could actually freely trade with each other. Like that illusion is sort of gone, in my opinion. And I think if you think about it, there is a push from all nations to do these kind of deals. Wouldn't you say, Carl? This is uh, a trend that we are seeing over a period of time.
No, that's definitely a trend, especially with the Trump administration, because they have the idea of wanting to have America first trade. They want trade from American perspective that is aligned with helping a bit American businesses, the American economy, and the American worker. And that's the first priority. And trade is looked at in that respect because they want to make sure that any trade deals that we have meet those objectives. And hopefully, when they do those deals, they will be done in such a way that will also benefit the country that we are dealing with. The main thing that President Trump has said time and again, he just wants to have fair trade. He wants to be able to be sure that we're being treated fairly in the deal and not handing away the store when we're doing these big trade deals that we were doing in the past. He prefers to do, instead of multilateral, he prefers to do unilateral.
I think, sir, this is also something common that we have with the US, where we want to have trade deal country by country or economic bloc by economic bloc. So we had the UK one, we had the New Zealand one, I think recently, yeah. Then
Yes.
we also have had the one with the EU earlier this year. So this is a trend,
Mm.
even in India.
Actually, what, in my opinion, what Carl has said, the times have changed slightly. Where earlier US was the dominant force, and the others were very keen to, that was a big market, and the dollar exchange rates were quite substantial. It still is, at least for many countries. So exports were a very important factor, and US had a say in all of these deals. But with the other economies of the world coming up, China and India and certain countries, Japan had been doing well. So what I'm trying to say now, the deals are not the way it used to happen earlier, and US wants it to happen the way it used to happen, say, 20 years ago. Countries now, the emerging economies, they want the deal to be not lopsided from US point of view. They want a balanced deal, and even their expectations are more from them. So I think that is what transition is what Trump is trying to enforce from Carl's perspective. He's right, but from other countries' perspective, like India or China or even European countries, they started have a feeling that we can have a better deal with other countries, and one to one deal according to our own interest is the order of the day.
I think very well said. And I think what I'm happy about personally is that some of the items or beverages which are of my choice from the UK are going to get cheaper. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But that is what is going to be in India. And this is a phased transition, but that's one of the
Yes.
benefits of celebrating a trade deal, that we have access to better choice of beverages, I would say. So,
Well,
and
I'm
on
glad you
the
brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because, a couple of the things that are being affected by trade and are increasing from the United States to India over this is wine. And what I was surprised to find out in my research is Starbucks, working with Tata, that they have 500 stores now in India, and they have a goal by 2028 of having 1,000 stores. And they've already are doing outreach now into tier two and tier three cities. So Starbucks is really starting to catch on in India. And wine, you always have those special occasions where it'd be nice to have some good wine from maybe a different region that you're not familiar with, get some variety and get it at a more affordable price. So that's kind of a win-win on that front. Glad you brought up drinks.
Yeah, and it reminds me, like, because the Starbucks is like on almost every corner. Like in the area that I am in, at least I can think of 3 or 4 Starbucks stores in the same vicinity. Like maybe in the same 5 to 10 kilometer radius, I can think of 3, 4 stores of Starbucks there itself. Like and the crazy part is you have the Indian competitor right next door or right in front of it, and both are succeeding. Like the demand is so much in the Indian market, like, which is the great news about
I,
India.
I I wanted to pitch in here that we had our Indian cafe chains like Cafe
Yes,
Coffee Day, but were there. But Starbucks, the cost of Starbucks initially was quite substantial, cost difference. What Starbucks and other companies they've realized, one is the purchasing power of every average Indian has increased substantially. They've also reduced the prices to compete with the Indian, cafe chains. Hence, now people feel that we have been trying these Indian cafe chains, which were quite economical and they were quite good. Why not, with slightly increased money at the same price, I can go to Starbucks, and hence the business of Starbucks is coming up. I want to go back to Trump's last, tenure, where he was trying to push in the Harley Davidson bikes. The problem with that deal was that was not the right, price for the Indian market. We've got our Royal Enfield and other such bikes, which are quite the performance is quite good, and they were half the price which Harley Davidson was. And we wanted our auto. See, we have to also take care that our auto industry works in well. So hence, even now, US has to select products like what Parth said, that wine is quite celebrated in India. The quality is quite different from the Indian wines and the European Western wines. In the same way, certain products which can compete with Indian markets prices, and there is a hunger for these products, should be now the choice. It should be selective, pushing those products. Then just to go, a full spectrum of products I need to put. That is what it should be. Intelligent marketing.
absolutely. And I'll say, Carl, I was actually also very surprised to know that the fastest or most highest selling, motorcycle brand in America right now is actually Royal Enfield, which is actually made in India. Because
Yeah.
it's on the cheaper side of things. It meets all of
Hmm.
the Department of Transportation rules for safety and everything else, and it really packs a punch. Like, it's really made for on the road driving, and the kind of driving that most people in the United States would be looking for. Even some of the cruiser ones, because I've seen that people will say like Harley Davidson has cruisers, but there's no other comparable, maybe. But for the price that and the product that you're getting, maybe for $2,500, $3,000, that bike is a fantastic ride. It's definitely a sight to see,
And
and
it's
I've seen so
very
many videos
dependable.
about it.
And it's very dependable. It's been used in India for decades and very reliable.
Yeah, well, as you can see, they're trying to break in to the Indian market with traditional American brands, and they're relying on the brand name Starbucks, Harley Davidson. Um, I was surprised too when I did my research and found that out about Harley. I was like, "You're kidding me, right? India, Harley Davidson? No way!" I didn't. That's really surprised me. But I think that's great because that's a quintessential American product, American brand. And for me, that'd be a matter of pride seeing Harley Davidson's being popular in India. And you're right, there are more of the big, powerful cruisers, and everybody hears them coming down the road from several kilometers away. Um, it's just more of a status symbol than anything else. Than being the motorcycle you're talking about that would be imported here. It's more practical for everyday use, whereas the Harley Davidson would be comparison to like the Cadillac of motorcycles. And so that's seen as more of a premium luxury item, not meant for mass consumption for everybody. So that's like going out and getting a Mercedes or something like that, a high end premium vehicle. So that's more of a luxury than an everyday item. So that would be the two differences between those two motorcycles. But I'm glad to hear that you guys can break that into our market because there's a big trade imbalance right now. We definitely import more than we export to India, and it's going to be changing with energy and other things like that. And I'm excited to see that happen.
Absolutely. So this means that we get the best of both worlds. Like we get what we want, and also US also gets what they want. I think this is the perfect thing. And yeah, I actually was interested in seeing like what this means because one of the best parts about a trade deal or any strategic trade deal for the matter is oftentimes you get access to dual use technologies, meaning maybe there will be chips, it may be silicon fabs, it may be other things which may be of use to auto sector, which may be used to things like the fabrication technologies used to make more advanced chip like phones. So all of these things I think are a part of the supply chain. Like one of the stories that I saw from India, like for example, like a dual use stuff was like some Indian companies are setting up their research headquarters in the United States because then they can get some of the more graduates with advanced degrees, like let's say somebody who has experience on clean room. So like for example, clean room experience is not something that's very common in India. But I when I was there in the United States that time, in my university we had a clean room, and they used to teach people how to work on the semiconductor fabs and stuff like that. This is actually growing a lot more here in India now, but we have some ways to go. And so people who are looking to bridge the gap in the interim are setting up that kind of businesses over there, which means that we have a more robust trade partnership.
Yeah, and I'll let you know a little fun fact. So my first real job when I got out of the Marine Corps back in 1993 is I worked for Hitachi USA, and guess what? A clean room doing wafer semiconductor manufacturing. I didn't work there long, but I got a taste for it. But that was back in '93, and of course, it was Hitachi USA, which is a branch of a Japanese company. Um, and I would really be excited to see that sort of thing happen for India because, to be quite honest, I think we put all of our eggs in one basket, having all of our fabrication and manufacturing taking place in Taiwan. And with the strategic ambiguity between, policy of the United States when it comes to China and Taiwan, that gets very expensive to sit there and have to defend Taiwan all the time and to take that chance that we could get in conflict with China over, protecting those manufacturing facilities. So I think it would be a good idea to look at relocating at least some, if not all, of that capacity to India.
And I think, sir, even last year when we had attended Jaipur Dialogues, we were talking about the ABC policy, meaning anything but China, because the ABC policy was all about what Carl was just saying. Because people are like, okay, what happens when one of the supply chain, or the most important segment of our supply chain, just says, sorry, we will not send you rare earth minerals, and what happens in that scenario? So does it become like a trigger for the World War II scenario, where, let's say, when the US had a embargo on oil on Japan, they said that they will not send any more oil to Japan during World War II. Then suddenly Pearl Harbor happened. That was the moment where
That was
uh,
the
you know
changing.
yes. So
Yeah.
because of a trade negotiation or trade dispute, it led to a whole different level of escalation, and it can spiral very quickly. So this is very important, right, sir?
I see. It has a background and it has your history. So the point is, Japan had been dominating the IT and semiconductor world for long, but last 20 years, China has taken that lead, right? But the problem is that intention of China has always been of suspicion, and even many countries have realized that if you get, like, I can talk of telecom, that or even IT products, there are trojans, there are worms, there are things inside those equipments which China uses. The intent is not, if I say should, is not, if not malicious, it is not very clean. Hence, over the years, many countries have realized that over dependence on China, and to take it with a uh, without any doubt, is something which the whole world is not following, and that is why China is losing business in many of the products, like the rare earth elements, and such things that China is trying to keep in its own hands, so that it can still dominate the world, because alternatives have been coming in Asia, say Vietnam, Indonesia, India. We have also started manufacturing the same products which China had a dominance, say 15 or 20 years ago. Now China wants to keep these rare earth elements, even silver, gold deposits, to a very large extent, so that it can still have a say and push policies according to its own choices. But again, what is happening is, like, India is trying to again explore rare earth elements and found certain positive points. Even other countries are trying to explore, because since it was a very easy supply from China and there were no frills, people were not bothered. So whenever there's a necessity, people go for other options. Like, if Strait of Hormuz has been blocked and oil is difficult to come from there, people started exploring, say, Venezuelan oil, Russian oil. So whenever such situations, anybody wants to keep it or hijack those products, or take more control over those supplies, you will always find alternatives until that product is only and nowhere in the world, and no such product in the nature is there which can only be localized at one country or one location. So that has been, ABC has been, because of the intent of China in its dominance and control over political as well as commercial aspects of it.
So, I think for both of you, I have two particular questions. So, meaning, okay, so if you are advising the leader of your country, let's say in India, it might be, Prime Minister's Council, or it might be Prime Minister. In maybe Carl can speak to, maybe if he was advising the White House. So, what would he say, or what would you say, sir, in the situation that you have to give advice on what business or strategic like pathway that one should take, or in your view can be taken, maybe first in the immediate term, then second in the near term, and maybe in the long term, which is more strategic. So maybe you can talk about it in that fashion.
You can go ahead, sir.
So, what path you want to know? What should be the short term, medium term, and long term goals of the
Yes,
country
yes. So
in
if
terms
you
of
were
trade?
advising maybe the PM office, so in that case, what would your opinion be? Let's say on a trade negotiation way, which is more strategic advice.
So, see, I'm sure the PMO and the advisors quite, aware of the international situations. But in our capacity and our understanding and what we follow and our independent view, we can give our own uh, piece on that. So, I feel in the short term, what we should find out is, we should see what is a consumption and where our revenue is being spent. when I talk of the RR reserves and the forex, it is primarily energy, right? And that is what the government is doing, is trying to find out alternate ways to get the energy. And even in the medium term, I think exploration has started in this Bay of Bengal, Andaman area, and we found certain caches of energy resources there, LNG as well as food. So energy is the biggest requirement. We being a big population and a big country, and our requirement are more. Further, the solar and alternate energy sources will also be substantial. So short term will be energy, because the West Asia, the people who control all these foods, suddenly things have gone haywire, and how the international. Secondly, in the long term, we have to see, or medium term also, we have to see countries which have good natural resources and have good trade relations with them. Russia is one important country which, if you find, if maximum of the natural resources are there is with Russia, we have to find all trade route, both maritime as well as on land, how to get these treaties done so that the natural resources which our country requires as an emerging economy, we can get hold of that. And further, we have to have more alternative, like from the Gulf. Say now we started importing the energy resources from US, which was quite minimal earlier. Further, the next industry in the long term will be space and defense, and that is where a lot of concentration is going on. The defense, earlier we were 100%, 95% importing products, defense products from various countries like Russia, European countries, even US. Slowly, you have to start manufacturing them, and in the medium term and in the long term, you should be the place to get these equipment of quality, like what US and Russian products are. So, and space is where the next, satellites, the telecom and the IT is going to change. Even people are talking about data centers on satellites, on board satellites, because energy consumption. So, data centers, as AI and as the algorithms are working, and you need GPUs, and GPUs need so much of cooling requirement and the energy. And where to house these data servers in the best possible way, so that the energy requirement is less. So all these aspects have to be there in order for the industry to thrive, and the economy to. That is my take on the
Okay,
immediate
so
knowledge.
Carl, your opinion?
Well, there's several things that come to mind. I think that short term, which is something that's going to be very familiar to you two gentlemen, is that we need to get one policy and one message when it comes to importing talent to the United States. Okay. Specifically talking about the H-1B program as well as other programs out there. But we have to come to a national strategic um, awareness of what it is we want to achieve 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. And we have to start planning ahead and opening up those pathways to those groups of talent and human resources that can come here and help us. That's not to say we should invest domestically. Absolutely, we should invest domestically. But the problem is we have not been putting enough emphasis on merit here as we have in the past. And we have not supported people going into STEM professions at a level and at a rate that can be sustained to meet the need. And that's why we have to reach out to foreign countries and invite them to come here and fill those gaps. Now, we can't go around and ask those countries to provide us with that talent and at the same time constantly attack those people who are here on those types of visa doing those types of work. So I understand the midterms are coming up, and that there's a need to create a boogeyman so you have somebody to run against, and to make you scared of them so you'll go vote for us so we can stop them, stop the invasion, stop the replacement, stop them from stealing our jobs. Um, but it's duplicitous because on one hand you're inviting the people in, and the other hand you're attacking them. That's a very mixed message, and it's very unfair to the people who are filling those positions. We need to really fix the H-1B program. We need to find a better way to deal with those who come here on those programs and treat them more fairly so that they're not basically in indentured servitude and stuck here, constantly having to renew, and not know what's going to happen with their lives in the future. We have to give them some sort of incentive and some sort of stability to come here and really be a part of this country, not just here doing a job. We should invite them here with the idea that the end process is within a reasonable amount of time, you can earn a pathway to citizenship, but you've got to come in and invest your time and you've got to provide and contribute to this country in order to do so. Um, Now, that's short term. I think medium term, we need to look at investing in areas that we don't invest in right now because maybe they have a low talent pool. However, they've got a bunch of untapped resources, and that is South America. We need to more heavily invest in South America because they are in our hemisphere, and logistics chain is a lot shorter, and you can get those products to market quicker. Also, because it's close to the United States, it's easier for us to defend those seaways and those pathways. Long term, we need to think about our strategic alignment and where we want to be 20 years from now. And if China is such a threat to us economically, if they're such a strategic competitor, then we need to team up with somebody who can give us that power to compete against them. And the obvious answer to me would be India. So I think that the United States really needs to start looking at investing heavily in India, and making sure that now I forget the title of the gentleman who gave the speech when he was talking America first, and he was saying we're not going to make the same mistakes with India that we made with China, and that can be taken the wrong way. Um, yes, we made a lot of mistakes with China because back during the Clinton years, we just basically handed everything over to them and said, "Oh, they're an emerging market, and it's going to lower our costs," and blah 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 on. But we didn't think about what the unintended consequences and the secondary and tertiary unintended consequences were going to be. And now we're in the seat that we're in today. So I think, yes, we need to very carefully enter into a strategic alliance with India, uh, but we need to do so in a way that is not just throwing it out there. We need to really think about what we're doing. And on that end, I kind of agree with India's insistence on having a sunset clause in the trade deal, because I think it's fair periodically to go back and to re-examine a relationship and to see if all sides are being met, and if everybody's dealing in good faith and being fair with one another. I don't see the problem with every few years having a periodic review and giving everybody an opportunity to renegotiate. So that's my thought on that topic.
I think that's really well said, Carl. But I think so. If you have anything to say, we'll just close with this. This is
Just as a
yeah.
closing statement, the short-term aspects which Carl brought out is, the technical, resources, manpower, which used to move to migrate to US, and the treatment of late which has been happening in the Trump government. Uh, Modi government is trying to get the talent back because the industries in India are thriving, and the pay is at par at what it is in the US right now. And you'll be further happy to know that all the major universities are opening their campuses in India. So that brain drain which was there, it is being reversed. So that challenge which Carl brought is actually a real challenge: how to get the talented manpower, especially for the US workforce.
I think, sir, well said once again. And I think that concludes our discussion for today. I hope everybody enjoyed, saying their piece about, the things that are going on in the world, the tariffs, the trade negotiations, and the trade deals.
That sounds, I'll be happy one day when I see Indians riding down the street on a Harley Davidson with a Starbucks cup in their hand. That'll be a great deal for me.
Carl, by the way, that's already happening right now. I've seen
That's
somebody
already
do that.
happening.
Well, then I'm going to have to come visit so I can see it for myself.
You,
Yes,
you should come
that's
and have
right.
a.
That's right. All right.
It's, we'll catch
So,
up again, I think, with a very interesting topic again. What do you say, Parth?
yeah, absolutely, sir. So, thank you all. Thank you for being here, and see you again on the next one, Jaden.
All right. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate the conversation every time.